So I got these LM338Ks 5 amp adjustable regulators on eBay, and I bought 5 of them from a guy. And I've been reading on online how these tend to be faked. So I was a little skeptical, but I went ahead and bought 5, and here's a couple of reasons why I did that. And then when I get done here, we'll talking about that. We'll put one in the test and see how it does. So these I noticed that the first thing that I noticed is that on the back of these where the pins come out, the insulator is real small. It's got a real small diameter. It's a dark, like a black brown color, and and that to me seemed the first reason why that these were probably genuine. Of course, I've got 2 old ones in my parts drawer that I've had since the 90s, and so I could compare them. Like I said, here's a LM338K steel, and this one I've had since probably the late 90s, and it's got the same kind of pin style on the back here with the real small dark insulator. And another one I've got, same thing, another LM338K, same kind of pin style on the back. So that's what one thing I noticed. I've seen a lot of guys, people on eBay selling them, eBay sellers, and when they show the back of them, they look like this, with these big, wide blue insulators. And this is actually a 2N3055 transistor. So that's just one thing that I kind of noticed looking at some other sellers that had LM338s. They look kind of like this, the back of this transistor here. So, and I know that's not necessarily a guaranteed thing, but that was one thing that I noticed. Of course, and then having a known good one I can compare it to kind of helps. But so I went ahead and got them. I got 5 of them, and I've got one hooked into this socket here. You probably can't see it. Down in there, upside down. So it's in the socket, and I got these leads. This circuit wired up. It's just wired up as a basic regulator circuit from the handbook, and I'm going to feed it from this adjustable power supply here. This power supply, I've got a current limit set right now to just over 5 amps, and I've got the voltage set to 15 volts. And I've got the output of this regulator circuit going to my electronic load right there, which we'll turn on here in a minute, and that's already set up to pull 5 amps. It'll pull the 5 amps. It'll pull up to 10 amps, but we're just going to take it to 5 amps for the rated test, and we'll put it under some load and we'll see how it does. So we're going to go ahead and turn the load on now. Alright, and there we go. So now we've got 5 amps at 5 volts. And looking at on the power supply here, we're showing 15 volts and 5 amps going in. So there it is. So we are pulling the rated load current through this device. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to adjust the pot here, and so we'll vary the regulator voltage. And I think this will go up to about 12 volts, 11 volts. It's about as high as it's going to go. So we'll take it back down to 5 volts. Alright, so there it is, and there was a little bit of noise in the circuit, probably some oscillation due to these really long leads here, but this works just fine for testing. So I'm still showing there, still drawing 5 amps, still putting still putting 5 amps in. So I'm going to say that that is a successful test. So I'll turn that off. Alright, so I'm going to say that's a successful test. And this heatsink is getting pretty warm. I don't want to leave it running too long because it's not properly mounted in there. It's just screwed in with some hardware and socket. So I don't want to leave it too long. I'm not gonna. I've seen people on YouTube, they go and crack these things up. I'm not going to go ahead and take them apart. I'm fairly certain these are genuine LM338s. So, you know, if this was like a rebranded 317 or something, it would have current limited or burned out, taking it up to 5 amps. So I'm glad glad for this purchase. Seems like it was a pretty good purchase, pretty good deal, and probably gonna buy a few more just to have on hand. But yeah, so that's the test. Like I said, just a couple things to look for. You know, obviously looking at the labels, making sure, you know, these labels aren't they're not exactly centered, but the labels on my old ones aren't exactly centered either. And looking at the construction, so. But there's nothing beats the real test. So that's the result. So we got our current. We got I think we got a good device. So let me know what you think. If you got any comments, like to know what you think. That's all I got for now. Thanks.